Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Neon, not here with Geeky Sparkles in this video. Feels a little wrong doing a Little Mermaid video without her, but she is out and about today. I'm going to talk about how the Little Mermaid might spell the end for the live-action Disney remakes. It is so bad, it has failed so hard that they're saying on The Wrap, which is a Hollywood production, this is actually Scott Mendelson of all people, is saying that it might mean the end of Disney live action remakes after the few that have been announced, because they're basically running out of material and the movie was a massive flop. I mean, we're not even gonna mince words. It did not do well overseas. Of course, we did a video yesterday. They're blaming solely racism for the reason why it's not doing well overseas. But of course, there's probably a lot more to it than that. We're going to talk about this. This is not a good sign for Disney, because this is what they're banking on going forward, because God knows they've already screwed up Star Wars. They've screwed up Marvel. This is the last major tentpole for them. Animation, they screwed animation up. They screwed up Pixar. And yeah, they've been betting on these live action remakes, and it's not looking too good for them. So what do they got? What else they got? I don't know. They'll probably just jack up all the prices in the theme parks, right? To make up the difference. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Go out to piratesandprincesses.net for objective Disney news, theme park news. And yeah, this is coming from The Wrap. And it's Scott Mendelson, who usually is a Disney cheerleader. So I'm kind of surprised that he's like, what else they got? Before we get into this and why he thinks that this might spell the end of Disney's remake factory, let's talk about the box office for The Little Mermaid and where it's at. It's a lot worse than I thought it was. This is coming from MovieWeb, and they're afraid to even answer this question. They said, is The Little Mermaid a box office success? While the reaction to The Little Mermaid has been split along ideological lines, is that what we're calling it? The truth behind the remake's box office performance is clear. Is it clear? Yeah, they said with a $250 million production cost and a reported $140 million marketing cost. I mean, they've spent big bucks marketing this movie. The Little Mermaid, under the most generous of projections, needs to gross approximately $560 million at the worldwide box office, according to Hollywood insiders, to reach its break-even threshold. $560 million to break even. And where's it at currently? $332 million. I mean, hell, I don't have $332 million, so to me that sounds like a lot of money, but we are $200 million off. More than $200 million off. 200 plus million off for this movie to be break even, let alone profitable. Let that sink in. It's going to sink like a freaking stone at the bottom of the ocean. So this is coming from The Wrap, and Scott Mendelson, again, historically has been a Disney cheerleader. And I think if you would ask him, and I think he said before that, he thinks racism has played into the situation with The Little Mermaid. Not that the movie just looks awful. But he said The Little Mermaid may mark the end of the remake era. Bob Iger took over Disney again. One of his first moves was to reassure Wall Street that more sequels and remakes were coming. Disney has a lot in its vault, and remaking animated classics as live action is widely seen as a safe strategy with built-in audiences. That strategy is coming into question, though, as weak international box office numbers for The Little Mermaid trickle in. Remember, guys, it's not because the movie's awful. It's not because people are tired of Disney remakes. It's simply the bigots and the racists, and the homophobes and the misogynists and the anti-fish people. The fishphobic people are keeping this movie from making the money it should be making. The live-action remake of the '89 film grossed $95 million in Friday through Sunday in the debut, but just $68 million overseas. For comparison, the 2019 Aladdin remake had Will Smith, and Beauty and the Beast had Emma Watson, both of which earned more than $1 billion, mostly overseas. That's where most of the money comes from for these tentpoles, and they're not buying it. What ties Disney's recent remakes together is that they're primarily based on movies from what's called the Renaissance period, the late 80s to late 90s, when Disney feature animation returned to producing critically and commercially successful films. So if Disney were to continue the remakes, it will need to start tapping into more recent releases. Unfortunately, they are. They're going after Moana already. So as it's already running low on Renaissance films to remake, Disney will need to turn to movies like Frozen and Tangled. It's already focusing on Moana. It's not even 10 years old, with Dwayne Johnson reprising his role as Maui in the upcoming live-action remake, which just signed up Hamilton director, Thomas Kail. Moana would seem to fit the bill. It earned more than 60% of its box office internationally, suggesting global appeal. It's a perennial streaming favorite on Disney+. The only problem, the original animated version came out less than 7 years ago. Turning any of these newer films into live-action remakes is a pretty poor idea, says Josh Spiegel, author of Pixar and the Infinite Past. The body's not quite cold yet. Ouch! Spiegel questioned whether any of Disney's newer titles had anything approaching the nostalgic pull of the Disney Renaissance era. Disney didn't respond to the Rap's request for comment. Of course not. They said it was something of a fluke when Alice in Wonderland overcame lousy reviews to become the 6th movie to pass $1 billion worldwide, and that's because of Johnny Depp. Let's be honest. And then they had Maleficent, Oz, and Cinderella after that. Then Disney started mining the Renaissance era, Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, Mulan, which was a flop. The problem is there are few films left from that era that could sustain a remake, and the results of The Little Mermaid reinforce the need to scrutinize the performance of the originals to understand the global potential of a given work. The original Little Mermaid earned $99.8 million overseas, less than half its total. The two Frozen films, by contrast, amassed $1.86 billion. $1.86 billion out of $2.74 billion globally in non-US markets. Another advantage of remaking more recent movies is Disney won't have to sand off the rougher edges of scenes. Oh my God, here we go. Another advantage of remaking more recent movies is that Disney won't have to sand off the rough edges of scenes or characters that seem less than enlightened in modern times, because the newer movies have had sensitivity readers and people looking at them, cultural people. See the YouTube outcry after Little Mermaid dropped some lyrics from Ursula's Poor Unfortunate Souls. Disney films of the last 15 years have more modern sensibilities baked in. Now, go back to Geeky's video talking about the guy in charge of these remakes. And he said one of their priorities in remaking these movies is basically revisionist history. They want to go back and they want to change Disney movies to be more current year, to be more progressive, to make sure that Disney princesses aren't just damsels in distress. So now it's like, wow, now they're just going to remake stuff they just made a couple of years ago because it's already past the gauntlet of sensitivity readers. But I guarantee you, they're still going to find some things that were problematic. I guarantee you. Admittedly, Disney has thrived by selling remakes as more socially aware or progressive than the originals. No, actually, most people didn't. They got mad. Most people got mad. They weren't aware. They weren't aware that Disney was making major changes to characters. They're like, oh yeah, Belle's an inventor. Princess Jasmine had to fight the patriarchy. It could be an advantage to the extent that fans like the originals as they were. Disney wouldn't have to deal with pundits and online commentators complaining that their childhood favorites have been sullied. Remakes of Lilo and Stitch and Hercules are in development. Oh, Lilo and Stitch is already problematic, don't you know? It's already problematic, and that movie's only 20 years old. They're going to do Tink. Forgot all about that. Rumored Bambi remake. That's not even counting potential sequels to The Jungle Book and Aladdin and Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Without a white Snow White, whatever. It's not going to do well. Even Pixar's purely animated corpus might be up for live action grabs. Brave are Up. Does anybody want a live action Up? How ridiculous is it going to look in live action for some old man to be attaching balloons to his house? It just doesn't work. They shouldn't want that, but they might pursue it. Remakes or sequels. One problem. Does a live action remake forestall an animated sequel? There have been very few theatrically released sequels to any non-Pixar Walt Disney movie. While nobody is expecting an animated sequel to Treasure Planet or Brother Bear, the more recent animations are sequel-friendly for the same reasons that make them remake-friendly. Oh, God. Well, this is interesting, though. So we get to the very bottom, and this is the point. They might try making more animated films before making more remakes, said Spiegel. They need the first thing to facilitate more of the second thing. So they're running out of movies to remake. If even something as seemingly surefire as The Little Mermaid seems to be coming up short, that may be good advice. There's an argument, though, for celebrating Disney's more recent string of hits. His first stint as CEO, Iger revived Walt Disney Animation. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. He didn't do shit. Lasseter did. John Lasseter did. Revived Walt Disney Animation following its post-Renaissance slump. They wondered if Disney shouldn't celebrate that very recent success. Why not have Iger bring back his greatest hits? Why not just stop? So basically saying, oh, it might stop the end of Disney's remake factory, but also we need to make more animated movies just so we can turn them into more shitty live action remakes that aren't going to make money. They're going to cost the studio money like The Little Mermaid. And I'm sure a lot of this stuff is too far into production to pull the plug now, but there's already been backlash to Lilo and Stitch. I guarantee you Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is going to be a massive, massive box office bomb. I have no doubt of that. I'd be very shocked if it did well. And people are over it. What they're not addressing, Scott, what you're not addressing is that there is a growing anti-Disney sentiment. It doesn't matter what Disney does at this point. Audiences are rejecting it. Audiences are rejecting Disney whole cloth. It doesn't matter if it's, a Marvel movie or a Star Wars movie. There are people that are flat out rejecting Disney, partially because of all the political crap, but also because they're just tired of it. They're just tired of this company and tired of the laziness and tired of everything being a remake, a sequel, a prequel, a reboot, a deboot, or whatever. And they're done. They're done. They want something new. That's the dumbest thing making new animated movies just so you can make new live action movies is dumb. Just make good animated movies and call it a day. That's what Disney used to do, right? Because animated movies are a lot more evergreen than a live action movie is ever going to be. The live action movie is going to age very poorly. And, but we got to constantly reinvent everything. So the sensitivity readers, the sensitivity brigade, can get their 2 cents in and reimagine these problematic movies from 7 years ago. I mean, we're living in a perpetual state of current year. And Disney is very slow in getting that memo. And I don't think they're going to change course. Everybody's like, oh yeah, we're going to force Disney to change course. They could run out of money tomorrow and they'll just sell off to Apple or something. I don't think they're interested in changing course. So I'm like, let them do what they're going to do. You don't have to watch it. I'm over Disney. I'm over Disney. I basically just point and laugh at this point because I know this company is a shitty live action remake of Walt's original company. It's not the real deal. It's never going to replace the real deal. It is a pale imitation of Walt's Disney. Even Eisner's Disney. Eisner's way better than Bob Iger. Way better than Bob Iger. So I'm going to wrap this one up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Sorry, I yelled loudly.
That's okay. I got the limiter on.
Okay. So
you can tell
setting?
Yeah, you can tell.
Really? It automatically limits it when I yell?
It does. When the pitch gets too high, it does. Sometimes if you sound like all robotic, it's because it's bringing the decibels down.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Help support the channel. Go to thereef.support and get early access to podcasts, videos, and other content. That's thereef.support.